Sarah, the live stream's going, so you can, whenever everybody's here, so you can start.
Okay, I think everybody's here now, and Nicole did confirm that the live stream was working. So we're going to reconvene back into open session at 6:05. There's nothing to report out. We do not have to take a vote in closed session. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are at item 3, approval of the consent agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
So motioned.
Okay. Okay, motion by Mr. Patel, seconded by Mr. Sandoval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Okay. Going on to number 4.1, the Santa Rita Teachers Association. Nicole Jensen, I believe you have a message from them. If you could read that for us.
Yes, I do. It's from SRTA President. Good evening, board members. First, SRTA would like to congratulate Ms. Turner and Mr. Patel on continuing their service on our school board. Members have expressed that they feel like routines are established and going well. At the same time, members have noted it's taking a lot of time to prep for basic lessons to ensure that they meet all the requirements and needs of their students. Through consistency for all and just being present, though consistency for all and just being present has been helpful no matter what is happening outside their windows. We appreciate the opportunity to pick what trainings we need and what we can hold off on because, as our students, at times members are getting overwhelmed and need to stay focused on what they can do right now. As I have stated previously, we appreciate the open dialogue with admin in order to reach the needs of our students, families, and ourselves. Thank you, Kate Stover, SRTA President.
Thank you. Nicole, was there anything from CSEA?
There is not, and there are no
Okay.
public comments at this time either.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I just wanted to say to all the SRTA members, I hear you in regards to the level of prep that is involved. And I see Ms. Argy Saldana nodding her head. It's incredible as an elementary teacher, and I'm sure as a middle school teacher as well, just the amount of work that's going into transferring everything that you do to an online format. So we're moving on to 4.3, Principal Spotlight, McKinnon Elementary. Yay!
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Mushnick. I'm the new principal. We've met before. But I put together a little presentation just to kind of highlight what we've been doing so far to get our families and students ready to go with the distance learning platform, and then some of the things that have been happening early on here, and also just to give you a feel for what the distance learning is looking like for our students. So I have a few things I'll go ahead and present. Go. And I also shared this presentation with you. There's tons of stuff in here that we don't really have time for to go over all at once, but you can peruse it and just let me know if you have any questions. Everything in here is a link to something else, which is, there's been so much going on, it was hard to pick what to put in here. But pretty much just to give you an overview of what we did to prep our families and our students for what was coming. We had a series of updates that were sent out to families using Aries. And it started with more of an introduction of myself and then what the year will help, what the year was going to hold. There were changes happening very quickly, and it was important for us at McKinnon to make sure that our families kind of had a face sharing the information with them. So it was a lot of videos that were made and sent out to parents, kind of walking them through what to expect in the days before we opened. And then starting our distance learning program, transitioning after those first 2 weeks, kind of outlining what they could expect. So those are some lengthier videos you can feel free to peruse when you have time. But those also were text messages, emails, phone calls. We had our staff make individual phone calls to all of our families just to check in, see how they're doing, give them information, prepping for the year. So it was a lot of work from our classified and certificated staff. But I think we did really well to set up our families, and in this uncertain time kind of gave them some basic expectations that helped them navigate what was going to be happening as we opened. So before classes even started, it was great to have some families on campus. We did our Chromebook distribution and our supply distribution for students. Our teachers took the time and put together supply kits with the help from the district office. We were able to get everything that students needed to prepare for really learning at home, right? Everything that they would try and have access to in the classroom individualized. But it was great to meet some of the families and get everything ready for them. The past couple of weeks, we've been hosting virtual back to school nights, and at the elementary level, we tried to make it more of a personalized experience. So instead of having one night where all the families would come to campus and meet the teacher, we had them spaced out over 2 weeks where families could tune into a live session with their teacher. We were also able to arrange translation support. And there's a couple videos here of some of those sessions. And I can open this one up for you, just an example of a slideshow that the teachers put together. And these were posted in their Google Classrooms, and we also made them available on our website. but just some basic information, kind of orienting parents on the schedules, what to expect, as well as push-ins, because we're still doing music and PE, which is awesome. It's all happening. It's all happening. And really kind of retooling their classroom expectations and procedures for the virtual environment, which so far has been working out really well. So you can feel free to peruse those when you can. But I really appreciated the ability for myself even to pop in and introduce myself to parents again and have that back and forth. Taking it slow and having these back to school nights spaced out over the 2 weeks really allowed for that to happen. And I think it was a great chance for families to ask questions and get their questions answered. So I was pleased with how well that went. We're at one of our childcare sites at McKinnon, and there's just a sampling of kind of what it looks like. But we have our site open for students, staff members to come in and have a place to work and get their classes done. They take some breaks. We have some individualized equipment for them so they can go outside when it's not too smoky. They got some Lotteria going on. We've been kind of trying to figure out games where there's not too many shared pieces, right? But that they can still kind of engage with one another. So it's a great group. They're having a good time. And you're welcome to stop by if you'd like anytime. They're here. So I kind of wanted to show you what our virtual classrooms are kind of looking like. I don't know how much experience you have or been able to pop into some Google Classrooms, but I have a couple here I'll show you real briefly. Miss Jones is one of our first grade teachers, and she has it organized really great with these little icons. So the students kind of know what these icons mean and know when they're supposed to be on, if it's a live thing. There's actually one of our last virtual back to school nights happening right now. Well, in a few minutes. But this is the classroom stream where it's kind of a message board for families. So the teacher will post daily assignments, schedules. In the classwork tab, there's all of the assignments mapped out by day. So it's very easy for the students to kind of navigate with their families to kind of what's expected. She has it organized by the schedule that they're meeting versus live stuff and independent stuff. So Ms. Rivera also has a fantastically organized Google Classroom. It's set up a little differently, but they utilize the classroom stream in a very similar way where they map out what the students are doing every day, kind of as their first check-in. And they actually have a little presentation piece I can show you what they're doing to kind of get the content out to students, which I think is great. So I'll show you that. But our daily schedule for students is consistent across the grade levels. It's a mix of virtual instruction and independent practice. Teachers are facilitating whole class and small group instruction. We have all the schedules posted on our website. It's linked there. You can take a look a little bit later if you'd like. But just to show you real quick an example of kind of a day in the life of a student. Typically, the day will start with a morning meeting. And then they'll usually roll into some whole class instruction, whether it's language arts or math. And then they'll typically have a break in that live session, give them a chance to move around a bit. And then they'll come back in the later morning for another session, either language arts or math. And then after the lunch break, teachers are actually taking the time to work in those small groups. And I love Miss Jones's icon. She has them organized by different groups for their groups. And then these schedules are again posted online, so parents and families know where the students need to be when they're online, when they're offline, and then what the expectations are for what they should be doing. So kind of a peek into the live meets. It's very similar to the board meetings, but this is Ms. Race's STC class, working on colors. And this is Ms. Toy. One of the great things that the kindergarten class or the kindergarten teachers are doing is they're organizing these supply kits that we're sending home. And those are we're open every day for students and families to come by and pick up supplies. But on Friday evenings, our librarian has been wonderful. She's volunteered to stay a little bit later in the evening so we can kind of flex the hours. And so we have some evening pickup hours available every Friday. Our library will be open until 6 p.m. So parents can come and pick up supplies for those that may be working during the day. And the kindergarten and transitional kindergarten teachers are putting together kits where students will be able to practice their cutting and their tracing and their letter writing by hand, all those important skills that, you know, they were worried about getting lost and not translating to the virtual environment. They're figuring out a way to make it work with the distance format, and then students are able to share out with their community. So it's great. It's fantastic to see. But here's just a smattering of some of the things. Flipgrid is a really popular platform where students are able to kind of share out quick little videos. A lot of the teachers are using it for quick little formative assessments to track student progress. But I've just pulled a couple, and I'll show you I'll show you two of my favorites. But this one is pretty good. The teachers were using it as a platform to go over procedures and expectations. So it's and the platform allows students to kind of see the videos that they've created with each other and kind of interact back and forth. So they've been using it as a way to introduce themselves to each other in the meeting that they're doing in person. So I'll show you one more.
Hello, my name is Shabelle. I'm 14 and I'm 7 years old. And my favorite activity is making paper at Springfield Peanut Butter.
So it was neat to see those things not being lost in the virtual, platform. They're still getting a chance to interact with each other and have that socialization, which is a big concern. I don't know how much time we have, but there's about a 5-minute video that our second grade team put together to kind of outline what they do. So if it's a thumbs up, I can go ahead and show it. I'm going to take it as a yes. Okay, here we go.
Hello, Santa Rita Union Board members. Thank you very much for allowing us the time to brag about our fabulous little school in the fields. This is the McKinnon second grade representing here. I just wanted to show you a quick little video on how we distribute our slides and how we work really well as a team at McKinnon, helping each other. We've got some fabulous tech help. Our principal has been a wealth of information. The district office with all its support and training and technology being pushed out to us. It has been a huge stress reliever knowing that you've got people backing you. So basically in second grade, we try and emulate what actually happens in our classroom in an easy and functional way for the parents to follow. We always start with a good morning slide. Our story of the week starts on a Thursday, and our story that this particular week was called My Family. So as teachers, we put on pictures of our family, and there's the new baby from Miss Gonzalez right there, baby Evan. And then we usually move into a reading and writing goals in every slideshow where we tell the parents and the kids exactly what they're going to be doing. And just to let parents know that this is not a random, we throw activities at your child kind of style, but there's a reason and a rhyme and a reason behind our thinking. There are certain things, of course, second graders need to learn, and we are trying to hit those things every week on our daily slides. Then, story of the week is introduced on a Thursday. This week it was called The Family. differently. We do a visual recording, and our students also have their big books. We expect them to listen and follow along. Oftentimes during our Google Meets, we will do this with the kids. Then there is an introduction to a spelling pattern. We pop on the videos that go along. We also have the spelling words and the audios from the how to spell each word for the kids to listen to. Then on Thursdays, we move into our first page of our reader's notebook. We post the sounds, we post the page. We have a method for showing classwork. If it's highlighted in yellow, it's something they have to turn in through the Google Classroom. And they do this page, and we always click a how-to video that goes along with the reader's notebook. Then there's usually a writing every day. Today it was to talk about your family, and then we share these in our Google Meets on the next day, and all the kids are expected to show up with their writing, and those that don't show up with their writing get to spend extra time with the teacher, and we do it together. And then there's always math. We have a math poll. Ms. Ramirez does the videos for math and does the classwork, and we're starting our Eureka Math Module 3. And then we try and embed some social studies and music and sometimes PE into our daily slides. And then our last slide is just a slide letting them know that they are finished. That is exactly the same routine we use every day. The only thing that changes are the dates and the activities. So this will be Friday. Again, reading and writing goals. We do Spelling City Fun for spelling practice, decodable readers for spelling practice and reading, spelling sentences, vocabulary is introduced on the second day, second read of the story, new math lesson, and some science and some art. And then we end with a fun slide to let them know that they're done. Same thing with Mondays. We start with the opening, and then the activities just build on each other. And they start to move through these activities and work on choice boards as they get used to the spelling pattern and reading, vocabulary readers, and then writing. And on Tuesdays, a little bit more of the same, but on Tuesdays we review. So we oftentimes pop in a Kahoot and a Spelling City practice test. And then usually a grammar standard with a video and the paired reading. And then some math, again, math video, which we also review during our Google Classroom meets, and more art and some beautiful music from our new music teacher. And again, you are awesome. And then Wednesdays are PLC day. That's the day when we deploy out our assessments. So you will notice that on Wednesdays, we have a spelling test done on a Google form and a reading test, and we include a how-to. We also read the test and the how-to for our English language learners. And then their job is to go down here. We're still working on getting all the kids to do the test, but we're getting there. We also do handwriting on Wednesdays. We put 3 letters up. We sent home handwriting papers. They're expected to take their time and learn to do their handwriting. We also embed an extra activity. The story mentioned Cuba and Puerto Rico in the family. So we did a social studies slide about Cuba and Puerto Rico, and the reading comprehension strategy for the week was compare and contrast. So their writing was to compare and contrast Cuba and Puerto Rico, and then they had to share their writing on the Thursday Google Meet. So basically that is how we deploy our slides, and we're starting to move into our small group instructions and just waiting for Google to organize their breakout room. Thank you, board, for letting us show off, and I hope you guys have a great evening. Bye-bye.
That was Ms. Dixon, and the second grade team kind of walking through what they do. So something like that would be supplemented with the live class sessions. And one of the things that a lot of our teachers are starting to do as they get more comfortable with the technology side of things is pre-recording a lot of the instructional content, and then using the live sessions for more of the guided practice and monitoring of the independent practice, so they can have those discussions and help the kids while they're actually applying the concepts, as opposed to trying to do the direct instruction live with the kids. So every teacher is in their own journey and kind of along that path, but that's kind of where we're headed, so that we can use those live minutes to the best possible advantage when we have those kids, so that they can get that support from the teacher as opposed to just kind of having the information downloaded to them. So it's an interesting process, and I'm having a good time helping facilitate that for them. So we also have music and PE integrating. They're doing some live lessons with the kids, pushing in. So these are just a couple of links to some examples of what the music teachers are pushing out, because they're giving the asynchronous or independent content and the synchronous live content as well. And so they're joining the classroom teachers in their live meets and facilitating quick live lessons that supplement what they're doing independently as well. So, for example, our new music teacher, who's over at New Republic as well, has a series of slides that she'll share out every week, and then she integrates videos to go along with it. So, and then, she can facilitate that song with them when they're live, and so it kind of front loads the kids on what to expect. So again, they get the most out of those live moments. So it's interesting. We're moving, and it's definitely an adjustment, but we've been taking advantage of the new Edleo platform for our website. So that's more or less updated. I try and get to it every single day, but I linked it here. Feel free to take a look. Kind of a repository of information related to our distance learning program, and directions for where parents can get support. Nicole's been fantastic sharing our resources with us that we can get to parents and then get to teachers that can also post them in their Google Classrooms, whether they're training or tutorial videos for how to navigate the Google platform, or just in general, how to support their students in the distance learning format, right? Just the physical support at home and giving them a quiet place to work, those kinds of things. So that's pretty much all I got. But I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have so far, or based on what you've seen.
Any questions out there? Mr. Patel?
First of all, Michael, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed, brother. I'm very happy that, you're a homegrown product, if you will, from our district, and you have experience. And I'm very pleased that you moved up and taken this huge role of being the leader of one of our, sites, which is McKinnon. I'm impressed with the fact that with the information you presented, I'm seeing a lot of individual teachers getting together, coming up with creative ways to connect with the students and their parents. I'm very impressed with the way you did the virtual back to school night, rather than everyone watching a video. Each teacher, got attention with their direct students and their parents. What can I say? As a leader, you have a lot of weight on your shoulders, especially given these difficult times. And I'm very impressed the way you're handling it right now. And the staff at McKinnon and all of our staff is doing a fantastic job in our district, But when I see an example like yours, with video and examples that you've provided, I'm just overall impressed. So continue the great work, and what else can I say? I'm just impressed. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It really is a fantastic team here, and none of this would be possible without all the support from our families too, because they're like teachers, whether they like it or not, while we're in the distance learning model, and their support's been great. Really, I haven't had to deal with a lot of phone calls. A lot of parents are kind of on board with our model, and they seem to be able to navigate the platform, and we're just there to provide this additional support that they need, and whether that's childcare resources or pointing them in the right way for food support, which Chuck's been great with. There's a lot of availability in terms of working with the food banks, and so we're getting those basic needs met so that our families can try and focus on supporting the students in the distance learning model too.
Thank you so much. Were there any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you again. I was really impressed, and my digital classroom does not look that nice, but that's okay. So we're gonna go on to 4.4, Superintendent's Cabinet, and the first up is Nutrition Services.
Hi, good evening. So last Monday on the 31st, we received word from the USDA that they extended the summer feeding program until December 31st, but they also said until funds run out. So there was some pressure onto the USDA and they decided to extend it, which is good. So immediately the next day we turned around and started serving to the entire community again. So that's back on. Counts have gone up a little bit, not where we would like to see them, but they are up. Still working with the food bank again. We've had some calls from parents regarding traffic, and we're trying to figure those things out. But I think more importantly, we're feeding the community and partnering with the food bank. We do have a possible start date for delivery of meals on October 5th. There's still some things that need to happen. But with the USDA extending that summer program, it may be a little easier. We may have some hurdles though. So we may not be able to do it right away. We need to figure out from the CDA what we can and can't do and how we associate those delivery spots with a school site. But I worked with Victor today, most recently, and he's established some sites that we can drop off. There's about 16 total. And they're the most high need as far as where they see the most students coming to bus stops. So we'll have 4 vans more than likely, and those vans 3 out of the 4 need to be set up for delivery. So we need to remove some seats and get them ready to go. And that's basically it there. I hope to start on October 5th. There's no guarantee, but if all goes well, then we should be able to start at that Monday.
Thank you so much. I've been so impressed ever since the shutdown with everything that you guys have had to make up as you go along and really taking care of people. So thank you for all that hard work. Are there any other questions?
Oh, I've got it. I mean, Chuck. Man, I couldn't love you anymore. And then you go do this, Listen, the entire nutrition group, that you're heading. I just want to compliment everyone. I like the quickness of how quickly you reacted to the new guidelines from the FDA and getting the food out there. Consistently, we're looking at different ways to provide nutrition and food. And just last meeting, we were talking about getting it out there. And here I'm hearing the very next meeting that it's already in action, and you guys are trying to make that happen. So, when I think of education, I always think of, nurturing the child, nurturing the teen. And it has to be both, it has to be sustenance and education together. For a lot of our families, this is their, maybe, one of their only meals. So and the other thing I'm very proud of is we're doing both breakfast and lunch. When I compare us, and to me, I always, like to compare us to other districts because I want to make sure we're going that little extra step. And we have been consistently doing that. And I want to commend you and the staff, for taking on this additional responsibility to make sure that that sustenance is getting out to our community, So if I was there, I'd be giving you a big hug right now. But I just want to say great job.
Thanks. And I do have to add that our staff has been amazing. I mean, they've been so flexible, changing hours, moving school sites, prepping for each other. So our staff has done a great job. A great kudos to them. They've been great for us.
Thank you so much. The next thing on the agenda is maintenance, but I don't see Mr. Sandoval here. So Mr. Ryan, did you just want to add whatever you need to say about maintenance into the superintendent's report?
Yeah, I mean, Victor had a family issue he had to attend to, so I told him to not worry about it. He just has those items on, and I'll talk about that when we come up to the new consultants. So,
thank you. Okay, 4.43, Chief Business Officer.
Good evening, everyone. In regards to updates in my department, we're still working on closing the books for 1920, and I did ask for an extension to the county office. As you know, usually in the past, this would be the month when we would bring the unaudited actuals to you for approval. There's been a lot of delay because a lot of things happened in 1920, like COVID-19, of course. There was a lot of back ordering for items that we had purchased, but we never got them, so we have to do some cleanup for that. Remember, we also had the costers audit through the whole year, so it was a long process. So just trying to making sure that everything is aligned and that everything is accurate. We also been getting some pushback from CDE in regards to our grants. Usually this time we would know or final allocation for 1920, and we still haven't got clarification on that. So I'm kind of like waiting to get more information so we can move on with the next process of closing the books. So that's pretty much why that delay. I'm still working on the Amazon project to making sure that it's finalized and we get the training for all the school sites on how to use it. We're also working again with COVID-19 funds. There's been a lot of mixed communication from the California, from CDE, pretty much changing the rules on what we can spend with those funds and what we cannot use the funds with. They also required expenditure reports. So there's a lot of new information that we want to make sure we stay on top because it's changing by the day. Last week, I got like 3-4 emails saying the first report is due on August 31st. And then the next day I got another email saying you got a 45-day extension. And then the next day I got another email saying, never mind, it's due on the 14th. And then at the end they said, don't do anything. Today, this morning, I got another email saying now it's a new reporting, a new format, and a new website that's gonna come out, but it's not out yet. So there's just a lot of information, and I'm trying my best to keep everything up to date to make sure we don't miss anything. I've been having a lot of communication with Monterey County, and again, this communication is coming from the state. So it's a lot of miscommunication coming from the state to the county and then to the district. So we have a meeting tomorrow with all of the districts and CBOs with Monterey County, and I'm sure we're gonna be talking about this and all the mixed communication going on in regards to these funds. So I know that I talk about the due date to spend the funds, which is December 31st. No changes in regards to that yet, but we have been spending the funds. So I believe we're doing really good on that. And as soon as I get more information, I'll be sharing that with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Rosa. We appreciate all you do, and I am aware that the state changes what they want and how they want it reported on a daily basis. So I appreciate all your hard work in that area. Going on to student services.
Good evening, everybody. I want to start off with a really great piece of information, some exciting news. You may remember last year around this time, one of our special day class teachers, Satwat Race, was a recipient of the Captain Award for Fidelity of Implementation of a project of using evidence-based practices with students with autism. And because of her work that she did with that program with SELPA that is overseen by Val Wiltsey, she's a program specialist down at SELPA, Satwat was selected. I'm going to read it exactly from the email. She has been asked to serve as a captain project district mentor. And in that position, her lead responsibilities would be to support, build capacity and knowledge of evidence-based practices supported through captain and present or co-present at 3 school sites in our district. She has accepted this position, which I think is amazing to do, considering we're under so much stress on other just what used to be normal jobs for us that we could do really well, now are very challenging. So I'm very proud of her. And when Val reached out to me a year and a half ago of someone who could serve, she was the first person that crossed my mind. And she loves evidence-based anything. And so, you know, that's great if you love that. So she's so passionate about it. So I'm super excited for her to join the team and continuing her work in helping students with autism, but also her interest in wanting to serve in these entry levels of leadership. I think anytime we have an opportunity for our employees to engage in that type of leadership in areas of strength for them is really important. So I'm really proud of her. And congratulations to Satwat, by the way. I also want to just talk a little bit about, real briefly, I'm meeting with middle school SDC teachers. My colleague Peter Fleming will be meeting with the elementary SDC preschool teachers, or SDC elementary teachers. Now that we're kind of about a month into this distance learning, we had some parent concerns about certain components of distance learning in regards to students with disabilities, but we also had employee concerns that they wanted to bring to light. So we're going to be working with our special day class teachers to start, because those students, they require a different level of support, and it may, just like it looks different when we're at school, it should maybe look a little bit different in a distance learning model. And so we're having some conversations, and I'm really wanting to draw out from teachers and parents, what concerns do you have now that we're into this a little bit a month into it, and now's the time to make adjustments after we've had this about 30 days of instruction, between 25 and 30 days. So I'll be working with them, and anything that we need to do that would maybe step out of our current MOU, I'll work with Becky and Melissa to do that, because we're not sure. Some districts are doing side agreements with SPED. We don't need to do that right now, but right now it's just in conversations, because really when we say the word individualized education plan, we need to do that. That is our department. And what we do in distance learning for Gen Ed, just like we would do in a brick and mortar, is going to look a little bit different. So the adjustments will be slight, but what it comes down to is really meeting the needs of our students, and how can we do that virtually for them, and their days and classrooms might need to look a little bit different from our general education colleagues. So we'll work through that and hopefully take the right steps to put some concerns that families have at ease, as well as our colleagues. And we're just going to try to keep reducing stress. Peter and Amy and I, every day, our mission is to reduce stress on our department. It's probably causing the three of us more stress to do that, but we feel like that's our role. And I agree with Rosa. You get one plan in place, and literally 3 days later, something different happens. And we're seeing that right now, and that's causing some stress. And so we just try to keep everybody, moving forward and on the path. And hopefully we'll get there in the end. And I just hope, now I'm looking at December, right? By December, we're going to have this down. So we'll just keep adapting and moving, and that's all we can do, our best. But I'm really continue to be proud of our department and moving forward, and also addressing the concerns that maybe we're not meeting the new needs of our students with disabilities right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any board questions? Mr. Patel, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Nadine, I just want to, thank you and the rest of the department for all the effort that's going out there to address our special needs students. It does concern me with SDC. Obviously we do need a different model, than a regular classroom. So whatever flexibility you guys are showing and working with the SDC teachers, the better I think the outcome will be. So I'm very supportive of what I'm hearing. And, these are weird times. Everyone's having to adjust. And once we adjust, we got to adjust again and adjust again. Because, we're learning as we're growing and as we're moving towards our calendar. So keep up the flexibility and keep that open vision, and, and rely on the SDC teachers I like to see that effort of everyone working together to make those adjustments, But yes, please take care, especially our special needs students, Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And by the time we get really, really, really good, then it's going to be over. So it's just the way that it is. So moving on to human resources.
Good evening. I have just a few things to report. We've been working on filling 2 teacher positions for New Republic. One of the teachers at New Republic accepted the Tech TOSA position, so has moved into a different role. And we are in the onboarding process for her replacement. And then we have another teacher who decided to retire. And so we are interviewing for that position on Friday. So we're hoping to have our full teaching staff at our elementary and middle schools. I also wanted to just report that I'm continuing to work closely with Nurse Semmelman on our COVID tracking and exposure protocols. She just received some updates from the health department that we have been able to review and make sure that we're still in line with the guidelines that CDC and Monterey County Health Department are putting out. I did have my first phone call from the health department a little over a week ago, and I was pleased to know that when we compared our notes, as far as who was out, who they had reported being or exposing themselves to, and the return date based on the negative test result, everything that the health department officer stated or nurse was in line with what we had also communicated with the employee. So it makes me feel confident that we're following safety procedures for our employees here. Along with that, we are rolling out an online health screening for our employees. And so they will be reporting if they have any symptoms in an online platform each day when they report to work. And that will be able to alert us more quickly and automatically if we have somebody we need to contact. Finally, there have been some updates to Title IX regulations that recently went into effect. So tomorrow, nearly all of our cabinet members and all of our principals will be participating in a training with Lozano Smith to get up to date on those policies and procedures. And I believe Nadine has also brought forward some policy changes regarding that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, going on to educational services.
Can I just make a real quick comment?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to commend the district on how, you mentioned a teacher on special assignment for tech and how you actually get somebody on that and not just pile this on to other teachers that already have everything on, which I see happening at other districts. So that is amazing. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I was taking notes, so let me see where I'm at. No, we've been working to make sure our platforms are up and running. I mean, today I was texting individual teachers just to be like, do you have access to that? I just want to make sure. And so we're there. We're kind of like just sort of doing our last sweep to be like, okay, we know we paid that bill, so are you able to access it? And if not, can we call the company? Can we get it done? So just getting in there and troubleshooting the best that we can. Karen Yoder and Nicole Jensen have been working, pretty much all day, every day to make videos, make instructions, send out surveys, those kinds of things so that we can keep building our PD menu for people so that they have the access to whatever it is they need at their own level. This is year 2 of us having that sort of flexible professional development model, and turns out it's very beneficial when you're in distance learning to have that, because it it allows people to find the training that's at their level for whatever it is. And if we don't have it in the menu, we can either create it, find it, get it to them, and in a pretty timely manner. So that's always our goal when we do that. And just keeping a lot of the logistics running and the day-to-day. We did make some adjustments with SRTA last week with our MOU. Just to clarify, and a lot of our teachers were already doing more than this, but what we really did was sort of outline what our minimum live instruction for our students is. So it's 4 days a week, a minimum of 100 minutes per day for those 4 days of live instruction. So our district goes above and beyond the requirements from the state in terms of total instructional minutes, which include synchronous and asynchronous content, by having students have access to 300 minutes of instructional content. And what we did is it just indicated what the minimum of live instruction would be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for all of our students. And we also added a little bit of language about our participation and engagement tracking that's required by CDE because they came out with some updates. So that you're hearing that multi-departmentally there, that CDE changes how we do things. But luckily, we started out doing those things that we planned for it in our instructional planning sessions where all of our teachers were invited to engage in. So we just really had to make a couple of minor adjustments to be in compliance with CDE's new guidelines on that. So we just put a little piece in our MOU about that. And then our other action was for our parent-teacher conferences. So middle school is going to delay parent-teacher conferences by, I believe, a week. They're going to have them 1 week later in September than originally scheduled. And then elementary wanted to wait until October. Since parent-teacher conferences will be done in a virtual setting and we're all in distance learning, it made sense to put that in our MOU because we're able to facilitate it because that's our instructional model right now. So I'll bring that MOU to you all at our next board meeting for ratification. But we can go ahead and begin implementing those things for now with our SRTA folks.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Mr. Patel?
Melissa, I was just thinking about the issues that our district could have and that we don't have. And that is the fact that our curriculum, our admin and our teachers, are really working together during these difficult times. Every time I'm hearing is this adaptability. The fact that the teachers are willing to adapt, the fact that a curriculum is being adapted, both from admin and then with the site level teachers. I'm really liking this flexibility and this idea that we're working on a constant revision of whatever is happening now. We're going to continue this revisionist, if you will, future. And the sooner we get aboard on that and the flexibility I'm hearing and seeing from the various departments today, I am impressed. And that is based on the relationships that these individual stakeholder groups have with each other at our district. So I'm glad everyone is trying to work as best as they can in these difficult situations. And they are meeting the flexibility, and because ultimately, we're trying to do this for our students, and to make sure they have the best education possible, given these, God knows what kind of conditions. I never thought I'd see these days, but here we are. So thank you.
Thank you.
I agree with Mr. Patel. Those concerns were taken care of in a matter of less than 24 hours and all of that. And that's just commendable for it to happen. And I heard back from the parents personally that they were contacted right away and by all members of administrators. And it's amazing to be able to see that everybody's on board and working together. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. And I would just like to concur that, personally, whenever I call or have an issue, it gets taken care of right away. And I really, really, really appreciate that. So moving on to board reports. Mr. Patel, what did you want to report?
Once again, I forget the first speak. You know, I think my wife probably wants to mute me most of the time anyway. But here we go. I've been talking to a lot of teachers, and I've been visiting sites. You know, my main important thing is to see if I see teachers out there handing out supplies. You know, meeting our students and their parents, and with the food distribution. And what I'm seeing is just, giving me more confidence that our district is going in the right direction, But I do share a concern, and that is with my fellow teachers out there. Somebody asked me the other day, how does this year compare? Because I've been teaching, 18, almost 20 years. I said, this is exactly how it felt when I was a first-year teacher, where I was scared of everything. Everything was new. Everything is changing. And just when I think I have everything set, it changes again. So I feel for all the teachers and staff and classified that, we're all adjusting. And, you have a fellow brothers in arm here that agrees with you, shares your fears, shares your struggle. And I just want to say, together, at every district all across America that, this is the time to work together and be flexible. But I'm telling you, this is like first year teaching all over again, so I share that struggle. So that's about it. I'm just very proud of our district and the flexibility and the constant evolution that each and every department and stakeholder is showing. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ariano?
Hi. I don't have anything to report other than to reiterate what everybody else is saying about how we can commend all our teachers for stepping up during this horrible pandemic, and what a great job they're doing. So, it was so obvious with the presentation that we just were shown, and I also appreciate all the collaboration between all of the teachers and everybody getting together and really stepping up their game on this. And I'm glad I'm retired. Sorry to say, but I see my daughter, how she's a kindergarten teacher at Salina City Elementary School District. And she's come over to my house, but it's not to visit. It's hello, how are you? And, but she's got the computer and she's on there trying to do lesson plans and looking to see what she can integrate into her curriculum. So I see it as, they're doing beyond their work, beyond. And it's just good to see that they're not giving up. They're, other than some of the teachers that have retired because of that, I'm talking about Salina City, some of my own colleagues. But I'm really happy with what our district is doing, and our teachers are to be, and everybody else, the assistants, the paraprofessionals, everybody. So it's a hard time. And I think Sarah said, and it's probably going to be over. We're going to probably have to do the hybrid or hopefully go back to school soon. So, but anyways, my hat's off to all the teachers, and thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sandoval?
Yes, I've been driving by a couple of different school sites whenever meals are being handed out and stuff. And the presentation itself, I was very happy at how receptive the district was, and staff and the administration, to whenever there's community needs or adjustments that need to be made, that people kind of step in and stuff. So I'm very appreciative and proud of our district.
Thank you. Ms. Jaragui Saldana?
Yes, agree on all grounds by what everybody is shared. But I also have to distinguish also that, I have quite a few friends in education, whether it's administrators, superintendents, teachers at the office level or what have you. And I think once I take into consideration a lot of conversations which I've had with all these educators, is that what I see here is that at the top, which meaning at our district level administrators, they are really going out of their way to facilitate and make things happen for everybody else. So our departments, have that support instead of putting barriers or, making it happen. And that doesn't happen at all districts. And I just want to commend, because we were having this conversation where our district is not fully staffed at the top level. We don't have extra personnel, this and that. With the few personnel that we have there, things happen and things are getting done. And that is very commendable. So I do want to, we recognize teachers and everybody, but I also want to make sure that our administrators at the district level, that you guys all get that acknowledgement also, because you guys are making it happen for everybody else. It starts at the top and it trickles down, and you guys are there making it happen. So thank you.
Yeah, and I share in that. Thank you guys for all of the hard work. I don't have anything to report that hasn't already been said, so we're going to continue on to the superintendent's report. So, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, and thank everyone for the support and for the kind words. I know that, I say it every time I go out, I can't believe what a high functioning and efficient district we have. I mean, not just with us here in this office, but it goes down to the site administrators. We just got to see Mr. Muchnick and what he's doing at his site, the teachers, all the way down to the bus drivers and the food service people and Chuck's department. It really is everybody. It's not, there's no one thing that stands out. I mean, it's hard. If you had to pick one place that stands out, I don't know, you'd have a hard time doing it. So anyway, I just, a couple of things I just wanted to catch up with. I went to a countywide but mainly a Salinas City technology meeting on Friday. With a lot of the superintendents. There was also some private industry people, technology people in. The county superintendent hosted it. Luis Alejo, our county supervisor, had requested this meeting, and it came out of the incident with the two young students who were seen using the Taco Bell Wi-Fi. And we wanted to just have a discussion about, the real status of what's going on throughout the city and the county, and what our challenges were. And really, the challenge that we all shared is that we need a long-term solution to connectivity issues, and in particular, with an equity issue with those people who live in areas where they're the last ones where the fiber optic cables are going to be laid. We're in those areas, North and Eastern Salinas are always hit, but the entire city is also hit. And the other thing that we found out that is that while we have the hotspots and we're actually talking to somebody that's doing a tower for the Alisal area, is they're really kind of short-term solutions to this issue. And so I just got an email this morning from somebody who is talking to the city, because the city is planning on broadening the infrastructure, but they're just in the infancy of it. And it's going to take 3 to 5 years before we see anything. But it is a long-term problem, so it's going to take a long-term solution. So I'm going to be working with them on that to make sure that our input's heard. And then you know, the other thing is we had a meeting last Wednesday with the Salinas Elementary, Alisal Elementary, ourselves, and the high school district, talking about Salinas and how we could support each other. And I know Salinas Elementary is their issue is personnel and techs. Amparo just mentioned the fact that, you know, we hired a new Tectosa and we didn't try to, you know, get by without it. We just did it, and then we're going to replace her because that's where the need is now. If we were still having school like normal, then that wouldn't have been the need, but it is. And so we moved our assets and reallocated assets over to address that. And we're going to finish taking care of that. She, you know, I told her, listen, you let us know if you get in a jam, because their problem is getting the hotspots ready to take them out. They've got the hotspots, but they got 2,000 of them in one day, and you have to prep those things before you send them out. And they're overwhelmed that, you know, trying to get that done. And I said, let me know. And if you want to do something, we can, you know, maybe some of our techs would like to work overtime, you know, work extra in your district after hours or something like that to help out to get you through this. And I think that as much as we work together inside our district, I think it was really refreshing to have that conversation where we started seeing how we could help each other. Alisal was talking, you know, to us about things that we were doing that they might be able to help. The high school district talked about putting the Wi-Fi's on the buses and moving them into different neighborhoods. And we told them anytime if they wanted to use like our Santa Rita parking lot, because they can't just park a school bus out in the, you know, in a neighborhood for that. So it was an interesting conversation and you know, one that that we look forward to having even more. So that's really all I have for now. And then we have some things that I'll talk about when we get to them in the agenda. So thank you.
Thank you. Nicole Jensen, have we received anything for public comment since we started?
No, we haven't.
Okay, thank you very much. And we hadn't received anything before the meeting began, so we're gonna proceed into the business of the meeting. So 6.1, approve AB 1200 certification for the 5% increase for the 2020-2021 Little Bear Creek preschool teacher salary schedule. Ms. Moore?
That would be me.
Oh, sorry, Rosa.
Yes. Okay. Yes, this is the public disclosure or the AB 1200. It's in regards to the agreement that was done and board approved on August 4 of 2020. And it's pretty much showing the total cost for the salary increase for that 5% for the preschool. And as you can see at the top, the total cost was $31,490. The first page after the agenda cover sheet is the letter from Monterey County Office of Education. So what they usually do, they review the public disclosure, and on the letter, they are able to tell us if we're able to meet the financial obligations for the current year or the next 2 subsequent years. Pretty much they tell us, yes, you can afford this 5% increase, or no, you need to make other adjustments. And as you can see on the letter, it does say that we can afford the 5% for this increase. And for the preschool, this is the reimbursement fund, so it's not coming out of the general fund. And it's pretty much for approval right now. Like I said, it is in alignment with the MOU that Becky brought to you back on August 4th of 2020. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Okay, can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Okay. Sorry, I have a frozen computer screen on my other tab, so you guys are gonna have to bear with me for a moment. 6.2, approval of consulting agreement with school facility consultants for developer fee reports level 1 and school facilities needs analysis.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna explain all three of these because they're all three agreements with the same consulting group. We're in the process of, the West Area specific plan, and we have to do these reports annually and biannually. But we're going to go and get, and what we did was we are starting to look at a new company to do our school facilities needs analysis and our developer fee study, which includes our student generation rates that we would have in the new development. And the reason for that is so it'll provide us with a new set of data that we can juxtapose against our existing data so we can show whether it's consistent or inconsistent, because that was a concern that was shared with us by the developers, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So this is also in response to making sure that we're getting accurate data within those reports itself. So that's the first one. The second one is just simply an ongoing agreement where we can use them as consulting for applying and communicating with CDE or OPSC or DSA. And then the third one is to actually go ahead and do a deeper study on developer fees to see if we're eligible for higher levels like level 2, level 3. So that's what those three are for. And then that way you can vote on them without me having to talk each individual time. So if you have any questions, though, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any board questions, Mr. Patel?
No, I'm looking forward to see these numbers. I think it's imperative that we look at the current state of our density as well as our funding possibilities. So I'm really glad we're moving forward with this. So with that, I want to go ahead and motion to approve. If possible, go ahead and motion to approve.
Yeah, and just before we go forward, I just want to mention I appreciated in previous studies where they really looked in depth at the different densities across Salinas. So you're looking at South Salinas, North Salinas, East Salinas, so that we were talking about, usually we came out sort of somewhere in the middle in terms of densities, but I appreciated that the different numbers because, of course, everybody's going to want to use numbers that are more attractive to them. So just having the range was appropriate, but hearing that being said, Mr. Patel had a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 0.2 passes 5-0. Moving on to 6.3, approval of consulting agreement to review, prepare, and submit documents associated with any and all future developments. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, Captain.
Passes 5-0. And then going on to 6.4, approval of consulting agreement to calculate the appropriate level of developer fees for any and all future developments. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve 6.4.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay, going on to 7.1, approved CSBA manual maintenance board policy updates for July 2020. And Nadine, I know you always do this, but I really did appreciate where you highlighted the different things that I could have some idea what I was reading. It made it much more legible.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I wasn't sure. Tim and I talked last week about what to deploy out for information. So we talked about, I know that you received the policy guide sheet, but I'm not sure if you got the service checklist or the full policy, the samples intact. or if you were able to view those. So I wasn't quite sure how you had been receiving those previously. So did you get the service checklist where it has it highlighted with the options? And, okay, and then I think what we held back on for the time being was this stack, right, Tim? Is that what we decided?
I think we got those too, because I had.
Conversation, I wasn't gonna send them, but then I said, you know what, we have some board members that'll actually want to read through. So,
Yeah.
I'm not picking on Jacob, I'm not picking on him, I'm just being, you know, so.
I appreciate it.
He just said, hey, where's the board policies? I want to read. So when I sent them, we didn't post them on the, on the agenda online because they're not approved. Once they're approved, they'll go online. So, yeah.
Right. So that's good. So that shows how busy we are because I didn't get a chance to double check with Tim what all went. So yes, as you can see, now that as a district, we're beginning to train ourselves with regular policy updates and what that looks like. This is, at least in my past experiences, the way that I have presented policy to a board, to boards to review. So the policy guide sheet is really great for board members to get a quick summary, especially on policies that are standard, that are just being updated. And then you can see on this particular set of updates, there are I think we had three. There were three that are brand new, and one, as Becky mentioned earlier, that revolves around Title IX. So, and then what I did was able to get the maintenance service checklist highlighted for you, as well as the page numbers of where it shows in the packet, so you could refer to the pages. The options that I select, as I talked to the last time for the last set of updates we did, is I check the current policy that we have intact, and then and check to see what that option is, and then choose the option or recommend the option to the board of what we currently have in place. So the options are usually pretty clear because it will say sometimes if you're a one school district, go with this policy, or if you have this set of personnel, choose this policy. So it becomes pretty obvious. Now, some boards like to do multiple readings. Others don't. So as we move through this process, please share with me anything that you would prefer to do differently. Some boards like to do 2 readings on new policies. Other boards don't, they're ready to make a motion. So however you choose to adopt this, you can do it in whatever way you determine as a board that you'd like to move forward on. If you would like to have the 4 new policies that are in there pulled and then do those at the next meeting, if you feel like you needed to just review those ones, that's okay. So I'm open to any of suggestions that I can do to help the board through the process of regular policy maintenance, and whatever can make the process easy and understandable for all of you, I'm more than happy to do. So you see our July updates there presented to you of the way that I have compiled them. I'll do my best to answer the questions, but most likely I'm going to look at the page like everybody else and help us through the process. Most of the new policies coming out at this time are reflective of either COVID or new legislation that might be going through. It could be emergency funding related to COVID. So it's nothing that we don't randomly just adopt policies that are brand new. It's usually reflective of an issue that's going on in education that requires guidance. And that's what policy does for us as leaders. We refer to it for guidance when there's an issue, a problem, or how to help a family or an employee. And having the policies updated is important. So I can take any questions that you have. And as I said, you can adopt these in whatever format as we move forward with each quarterly updates on how you're comfortable as a board in making those decisions.
Any questions or comments?
I just really appreciated the highlights to, focus in on those key areas. And when I reviewed them, I supported all of them. So that's my perspective, Madam President.
Yeah, that was my feeling as well. I felt like the current updates that we're discussing were just, as Nadine said, just really reflective of new law and certain situations. In terms of going forward, if it's okay with the rest of the board, I would I don't have a problem adopting things on the first read. I would just ask to make sure that, I know that this board does their due diligence and just reading, your agendas as soon as you get them, so that if there is something that we wouldn't feel comfortable or we needed to really discuss what option that we were going to pick, that we would make sure to let the cabinet know that before the meeting, which is usually what we do, do if something unusual happens. But in this particular case, I didn't see anything that was objectionable, which I didn't contact Tim or anybody else about them, because I felt like it was just practical things.
You could also pull like 2 or 3 policies from an update if you decided you want to make the motion to approve with the exception of board policy 3555, administrative regulation 4119.2. So you can remove a 1 or 2 and adopt the rest as well. Again, it's a comfort level with boards and what they feel is the best practice for them. This set was pretty straight ahead. There wasn't anything unusual that stood out to me either. So in the future, if you come into a board meeting and, I just read this a half an hour before the board meeting started, can we adopt or, make a motion to approve, but we're going to remove 1 policy that we'd like to do a second reading on, at the next meeting. That's acceptable as well.
Madam President, I accept, exactly what Nadine said as far as the flexibility of us having to get extended time. But in this case, given the policies I'm seeing, the changes, I would recommend that we disapprove all of them as provided.
Yeah, agreement as well. Yeah, and I do appreciate the flexibility that if it can get overwhelming, there's too many we can pull out that we're not fully comfortable with.
That being said, can I have a motion?
A motion to approve 7.1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It passes 5-0. Thank you, Nadine, very much. Okay, moving on to 8.1, approve internship contract between Brandman University and Santa Rita Union School District from August 5th, 2020 through August 5th, 2023.
Thank you. This is a renewal of a contract with Brandman University. We do employ teacher interns, and one in particular this year triggered Brandman to review our contract and realize we were due for this renewal to be enacted.
Well, as a former Brandman intern, can I have a motion?
As another Brandman intern, I motion.
As a third Brandman intern, I second.
And as a 4th, but
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And by the way, Madam President, I don't care what you say, I'm still going to call it Chapman.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I had it both ways, where it was still Chapman when I got my multiple subject, and then it was Brandman when I got my admin credential. So, okay, 8.2, approve temporary principal contract to cover for principal on leave of absence.
We do have our Santa Rita principal, Mr. Hermosillo. He did share with his staff that this leave of absence is for a medical reason. And it will be at least, we believe, into January, if not longer. So to provide coverage for that school site, we're looking at a temporary principal with a contract to end at the end of the school year at June 30th. If Mr. Hermosillo is able to come back, and we hope he would be, then our plan would be to move that principal to a special assignment to assist with some COVID-related duties that the district would have need for. But we did believe this would be the best chance we would have to recruit somebody if we could offer the full year contract, not knowing exactly what Mr. Hermosillo's situation will be as time progresses.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. 8.3, approve contracted service agreement for temporary help for absence of HR specialist.
Thank you again. So our HR specialist was on an extended leave and now is no longer with our school district. And so our HR department is in need of some extra hands just to keep the work flowing, especially in a time where all of our departments are so impacted with COVID-19. So a retired HR specialist has agreed to do some work for us. And this contract would recognize that work.
Question?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. 8.4, approve memorandum of understanding between CSEA Chapter 503 regarding school opening for the 2020-2021 school year and response to COVID-19.
Okay. We worked with CSEA during the summer to put together this MOU. The process for ratification for CSEA is a little bit more time consuming than for our teacher unit. And so this MOU we have been essentially following since the beginning of the school year, but this is the official ratification process for the agreement that we've made with them for change in working conditions in this special year.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Okay, 9.1, approve memorandum of understanding between the Santa Rita Union School District and the Monterey County Office of Education for the Quality Rating and Improvement System Program Block Grants.
So we had a very good QRIS working again, and this is a small block grant that the preschool has access to for professional development for their staff members. And I'd like you to approve that MOU so they can access it.
Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve 9.1.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Okay, 9.2, approve MOU with United Way for literacy tutors for preschool students identified as in need of assistance.
So this was new. Our preschool director, Elia Garcia, reached out. United Way wanted to do an MOU. And I am all about getting access to our preschoolers for some additional literacy building assistance. And this MOU would allow us to partner with some of their volunteers for our neediest students to help them build some literacy skills.
Melissa, I'm assuming this is going to be post-COVID, or do they have a...
Actually, right now, they're doing virtual.
Nice.
I'm okay with this, Sarah, as long as we're maintaining safety protocols. You know, we can control our staff, but the fact that an outside agency meeting with our students, you know. So my little concern would be obviously is make sure safety protocols are being followed. However, I do would like for this to be approved tonight.
I agree. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, passes 5-0. Thank you, Melissa. So we're at 11.1. The next regular board meeting will be held on September 23rd. Board members, do you have anything that you would request to be agendized at that meeting or a future meeting?
Madam President, I really appreciated having a principal today and showing us what's going on in their campus internally, you know. Maybe since we're on this virtual medium for the next, immediate future, can we maybe have a principal present what's going on with their schools, I mean, nothing long, just something short, just so we get the individual site perspectives, from the leadership of that site. I would really appreciate it. I know that's additional work, Tim, so I'm not saying it has to be, but if it can be squeezed in, Thank you.
Well, I've actually put it in the agenda. So if you want them every board meeting, that's fine. If you want them every other board meeting, that's fine. But I put it in there and then just have a principal come, because we have it there, like, is there any principals that want to present? But I called Michael last week and said, hey, would you be interested in, I think it's important, not just for the board, but for the public to be able to see everything that's going into this. And it's really hard to do in a 20-minute presentation, but I thought he did a really good job, just a flavor of what's going on. So I absolutely built that in. So I was already, but you tell me if you want them every board meeting, every.
My only concern is, yes, I would like to see them every one site, every board meeting. But my concern tonight was that, we had some videos of students, I just want to make sure we have a proper clearance and approval before we have especially parents or students being shared or broadcasted across. That's my only concern. But yes, I think that would be a great idea to keep us in touch with what's happening at each site.
I'll skip.
I would agree. I thought it was excellent tonight. The only thing that I would ask is who's ever presenting, if they would do like a tryout presentation through Google Meets, because there was one video there where the sound didn't come through. So just trying to troubleshoot that beforehand. But I thought it was absolutely excellent. And then Nadine, just in regards to, I know you were talking about whether testing is going to happen virtually or we're going to wait or whatever. And I know that's going to depend on individual kids, but maybe, a month, 6 weeks from now, if we have an idea about how it's rolling forward or not, I'd be interested. Just, and I know we can talk about kids' results, but just how it's working out in theory.
Absolutely. I can tell you right now, we're not waiting.
Good. Okay.
We're assessing with whatever we have that we can work with, that we can do, because waiting for digital materials, and some of them are out, they're not working well for other districts. So I will just briefly tell you, we are doing assessments, because doing nothing is not acceptable. Even if it's a partial assessment, whatever we can do to get some type of knowledge or data gathered on the student to provide some level of service. And then when we're back on campus, we can work with those families to potentially, do an additional assessment, reassess. But I would be happy to give you an update in October how those assessments are happening virtually. We are not doing anything in person because of the extremely high positivity rate that we have in 05 and 06. Other districts are not facing that like we are. Smaller districts are doing in-person SPED assessments. And according to last week, 55% of our cases of COVID are coming out of Salinas, and out of that 55%, 47% of that is coming out of 05 and 06. So we're at a very high risk level for student safety right now, as well as employees. So we are assessing, Madam President, I assure you we're assessing, and we're going to use and do whatever we can to assess and adapt as we go. And then we'll figure it out when kids come back, what we need to do.
And just to kind of play off what Nadine said, I'll be presenting, I just got the latest, the state level approval. They rank counties according to different tiers. And right now, Monterey County is in the highest tier for positivity rates. We're at about 9.1 or 9.2 countywide, but our zip code is over 20. So we're going to monitor that. And there are some options available to school districts if they want to do some small cohort things. And with Nadine's department, that's obviously one of the first ones we'll look at on that. But right now, the rates the way they are, it would be irresponsible for us to move on that just now. But I'll keep you, and I'll do a presentation at the next board meeting on what the criteria is, how many positive cases per 100,000 students or people, and that way. And I'll just keep giving that as an update in the superintendent's report. So.
Thank you. you. And, you know, obviously all of our board members live in 93905 or 93906. So we're right here in the middle of it, and we need to keep our kids safe. Board members, last chance, anything else that you want agendized in the future?
No, I liked our presentation today from McKinnon. You know, I'm curious to see what the preschool is doing, and I don't want them to do a presentation, but maybe send us something through an email, you know, whatever they're doing. I just can't imagine what they're doing for preschool on a virtual, you know, basis. It's just kind of, I'm curious to see what they're doing because they're such little ones. And what is our enrollment in preschool? Do we know?
It's a bit grim, our enrollment. We're not at capacity, we're in the same situation that a lot of state preschools are in right now. Parents just being really unsure. Going virtual has allowed Elliott to keep enrolling families because once a lot of our families knew that they're not on campus, they felt a little safer. You know, because if you have an older student in school who's virtual, but the preschool is still having you come in. And once the state gave updated guidance that allowed an LEA-run state preschool to follow the district model, we were able to switch to virtual for the time being until the state changes that guidance. Or, you know, the situation allows for us to reopen. So that's where we're at. So she is currently working to do enrollment. The state is doing quite a bit of like waivers and adjustments in terms of funding based on last year's enrollment, pre-COVID, things like that, because they know the situation is so mutable and it's really about communicating with parents. I will definitely get something to you so that you can see the kinds of things that they are doing online.
Yeah, just, you know, whenever you can. And then if I have any other questions, I'll just go ahead and call you and find out. I mean, you know, whatever questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Kevin.
Aye, so we're officially adjourned at 7:39. Thank you guys so much. Have a good rest of your week.